Opinion time for NCAA to give football, basketball players one-time pass to transfer. The NCAA did its usual thing Wednesday, covering itself in jargon and policy nuance while the obvious solution to one of its major challenges goes untapped. Eventually, schools will realize they can't go on like this. The entire trend, primarily in football and basketball, is just another temporary fix. It sharpens some of the solution here is so obvious, and so easy, that it almost defies logic schools haven't already pushed for it. It's time to give, while a consensus of athletics directors and coaches isn't yet mentally ready to embrace that step, you can sense in conversations across college sports that it's coming. This year, while the NCAA attempted to bring clarity to the waiver process Wednesday with what it characterized as small tweaks, the truth there lies deep in the weeds of NCAA policy wonkism. It's still as transparent as mud. And the fundamental, it's a reaction to a reaction, which means there will be another reaction. So why not just, well, we know why. The NCAA, by its very nature, is a highly reactive organization. It's a lumbering bureau. When things in college sports defy common sense or seem needlessly complicated, critics of the NCAA often mistake malice or incompetence for a much simpler truth. The NCAA is too big and too democratic to fix stuff proactively or without breaking something else in the process. We've seen that play out with transfers, which have to sit out a year unless, well, there's a reason they shouldn't. Those reasons used, but more than a year ago, the NCAA allowed a handful of football players who transferred from OLE Mississippi to be eligible immediately at other schools because they claimed they were misled during the recruiting process about the severity of the penalties the program might receive from an NCAA investigation. The attorney representing most of the players, Tom Mars, made a very public and compelling case with troves of text messages showing OLE Mississippi officials and head coach Hugh Freeze had underplayed the threat of sanctions. That put the NC, so a compromise was reached with fancy, vague language that allowed everyone to claim victory, documented mitigating circumstances outside of the student-athlete's control. Injecting that phrase as grounds for a waiver, of course, caught the attention of others who were attempting to become immediately eligible. Mitigating it has, predictably, led to an onslaught of schools trying to get their transfers eligible on fairly flimsy ground. And why not? But this is particularly silly when the NCAA already allows the one-time free pass transfer in most of the so-called non-revenue sports. It's really just sure, there would be details that have to be sorted out. Tie the free pass, putting more policy on top of bad policy won't work over the long haul for the NCAA. Schools may not be. This article originally appeared on USA Today.
Raindrops, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.